exciting. It feels like a fresh new start. Anyway, so this week's topic, I want to discuss one struggle I had in becoming religious. Probably this was the hardest thing for me, actually, becoming from. So people always ask me, like, oh, what was it that was so hard? People always assume maybe it was hard for my family to accept, which thank God it wasn't. They're very accepting and supportive and open-minded and tolerant, like really above and beyond tolerant and supportive and accepting. Thank God. My heart goes out to you if it hasn't been that way in your family, because wow, there are a lot of families that don't accept people who become more religious. However, the hardest thing for me, which I really want to open up about today, because I feel like so often I'm giving you guys tips about how to become more spiritual or something like that. But in truth, I also struggle deeply. It's a constant uphill battle. If you're not progressing, you're declining. And so I wanted to open up about some of my more struggles and weaknesses when it comes to this topic, because I'm not an expert. I don't have all the answers by any means, and hopefully some of you can give me advice in the comments below if you've shared this struggle, if you've overcome it. So for me, I wanted to share with you today probably the hardest part about becoming religious is actually the 3-day Yom Tovs, the 3-day holidays, because we had a lot of them this past year, right? And I want so badly to feel like I'm being authentic and sincere to God, because like we say, Sukkot, it's the time of our gladness. And we say just all these, commemorating these days, and they're such special holy times for simcha, rejoicing, gratitude. And I feel like they kind of really stress me out, unfortunately. And by the 3rd day, I feel like they're not really, like, I struggle to connect to them in a real way. Like I struggle to actually, by the 3rd day, preserve that feeling of like simcha, of joy by the 3rd day. And I've spoken to my rabbi about this and mentors. And I thought that maybe if I hosted people for those meals, like a lot, because as you know, there's a lot of meals. So, it's a lot of responsibility, like actually so many meals, like 30, like almost 30 meals. If you were a Jewish woman, you probably almost cooked 30 meals between all the high holidays that we just had in Elul last month. So I thought that while it is so much work and so much responsibility, hosting does bring me a lot of joy. So I was like, maybe if I host, I'll feel more connected and happy, because it naturally makes me happy to host like on Shabbos. And so I tried that on Sukkot hosting, and it was like okay for the day, but my rabbi was like, give it a try to host, like maybe that will make you happier. But it didn't really fix the problem for me. I felt like really like good, busy, preoccupied, like accomplished. I always feel very accomplished after I host. I cooked a lot and I felt like productive, and that was nice. But in terms of connecting to the holiday for 3 days, I don't know. I think it actually is the hardest part about becoming religious for me, is the 3-day holidays. Like not keeping Shabbos, keeping kosher. I thought keeping kosher would be really hard. Probably was maybe the second hardest, but it doesn't really compare in contrast to dealing with the chagim, because I don't want to just deal with them. I don't want to just like struggle, suffer through them. Chatz v'shalom. Like it's the most powerful time of the year for the Jewish people. It's, huge, and it's a time of simcha and really connecting to Hashem. And I want to connect and feel like better about them. My plan for this, I think I'm going to, God willing, prioritize like being in Israel next year for the Hagim. Although someone made an amazing point to me, which is like, you don't want to have to go to Israel to feel connected during the high holidays. Like that's just relying on being in Israel, which true. I hear that fully. And that's an amazing point. So, but I didn't grow up with them. Like I didn't grow up doing like 18 meals with Sukkot and Rosh Hashanah and Yom. Like I didn't grow up with the meals, so I don't know how to make the most out of them. And I feel like being in Israel would really inspire me, like with what this is supposed to be, what this should be, and then I could like learn a lot and copy that in my own life. But I'm curious what you do to make the holidays feel special and be a source of true simcha for you. Obviously, being with your family is probably very joy inducing, but like my family is not keeping the holidays in full, but I could invite them for a meal. Like I could have them drive to me, even though like you're not supposed to drive. My rabbi will let me invite them, so maybe that would make it better, to spend it more time with my family, because what I do now is usually I'm like a guest somewhere, or I stayed home this year for Sukkot, but I was a guest for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so maybe like being a guest for that long makes me feel sort of awkward and uncomfortable. I'm not sure. I guess that could be it, because I feel like when you're a guest too long, you just feel like bread of shamey. Does that make sense? Like you just feel like a taker almost, and you're just like, meep, like why am I here? You know what I'm saying? Like why am I just at this random family? No matter if they're so nice, they're so giving, and thank God, like I obviously acknowledge the tremendous chesed that goes into hosting me. Of course. Like I don't take that for granted. Thank God I have the opportunity to be a guest. However, it's also like has its drawbacks, because when you're a guest, maybe I assume it's like more happy to have a holiday. When you have the holidays like filled with memories from your childhood, from your family, and traditions and rituals that you and your family do, it's probably like makes you have what to look forward to and to expect, that familiarity, and that makes you happy. My family actually has that with Christmas, which is like, okay, and Thanksgiving. Like every year my family goes pretty all out for Christmas, even though they're Jewish, and I'm just like, and Thanksgiving, and I'm just like, but what am I gonna do? Can't control that. I wish that we had that for the high holidays, and that I had like some sense of like, yay, the high holidays are coming and here's what I can look forward to, because it's such a special sacred time and I want to get the most out of it. But right now and throughout and historically, since I've been more observant, it's just not so easy for me. So I think to answer people who've asked me these questions, what's the hardest thing for you since becoming more religious? It's the long holidays, 3-day Yom Tovs. And I heard a lot of people do struggle with it. If you struggle with it and you have found things that you've incorporated, please let me know in the comments. I'm so happy to hear what everyone else does to make this like a special time, and that we shouldn't just tolerate it, but we should really feel connected and soak in all the meaning that these days offer us, because they're so powerful. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Let me know what you want to hear more of, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.